Being the older sibling, I was tasked with being the parent for not only my sister but also my bio parents. I wish I didn't have to grow up so quickly, be that parent at such a young age. I can give credit to that for being as wise as I am now and as far along as I am now. I've lived in Colorado Springs my entire life. I went into foster care originally when I turned 14. It was a dependency and neglect case, so my sister and I and my family were living in a tent. We originally became unhoused when I was 11. We had had a house fire, and after that we were bouncing couch to couch, motel to motel, until our luck finally ran out when I was 13 and ended up in a tent the summer of 2016. My parents were addicted to drugs, so when the police came down to our tent, it was a welfare check kind of thing. They found my mom had a warrant and my dad had gone missing, so we thought it was a temporary going to stay with friends situation, but it turned into the rest of my teen years being in foster care. My sister and I ended up in different homes at that point. She ended up in a group home and I ended up in a home that ended up being very abusive. I went to 5 high schools because of foster care. I definitely bounced around a lot. I missed a lot of things because all of the high schools taught different things at different times, but I was eventually able to piece things together. I've always been good at school. School for me was always like an escape from the situations and the circumstances I was in. I had friends and I had support from my teachers, which really was what got me through school. Luckily, I had a really good guardian ad litem who really fought for me. She really wanted the best for me. My caseworker at the time tried her best. Between the ages of 14 and 18, I went through 7 caseworkers. I got very lucky with most of my foster homes. They were very accepting of LGBTQ youth. The only one that was not very accepting was my last foster home before I met my parents. Didn't really accept me, wanted to believe that I was just in a phase and I would grow out of it, which did not happen. I was in that home for 10 months, and parents that eventually adopted me found a picture of me on the Facebook page for the foster agency that we were a part of. Because of my foster agency being very Christian-based, they really fought it for a while because they're like, well, this kid needs to go to a group home. They're not listening, they're misbehaving. And my parents were like, well, don't send them to a group home if there's a family that wants to take them. I met this family and we went through a lot together. I actually got diagnosed with cancer while I was living with them. So we went through chemo and radiation together during COVID, and I just spent a lot of time with them doing nothing. And that's kind of how I realized, like, I want this family to be my family for a long time. As a lived expert, I'm looking forward to being able to advocate for system changes that need to take place. So one of the things I got involved with was the Office of the Child's Representative, their Lived Experts Action Panel, or LEAP. That is a panel for former foster care youth to go to state legislation and advocate for change in the system. I know it can be really hard and it can be scary, especially if it's not an accepting environment, but I got through it because I chose to be my true, authentic self, and that's what kept me sane.